Hey guys, welcome back to part 2, where today we will cover Ottis Toole, his backstory, and what makes this killer tick. Hope you enjoy.
Let's talk about the first date between Ottis and Henry. Ottis's mother had died 2 years prior to when they met, and Ottis is born and raised in Florida. Henry in Virginia. I want to say West Virginia, but Virginia.
No, but Henry was living in Florida with his second wife, correct? Before he got kicked out.
No, he was living in Maryland. He gets kicked out. And here's the thing about Henry and Ottis. They both have an extensive family network. Henry's looms on between, and if you're in the country, cousins down here in the country, and us country folk, it don't matter what you done, Jen. If you need a place to stay, you can come stay here. So he ends up in Florida because one of his cousins down there, and he's in the soup kitchen when he meets Ottis. Ottis's mother had died 2 years ago, and he has also a deep connection with his own mother. Their first date, they visited Ottis's mother's grave together, and which was really sweet, you know. So to Ottis, that was the first real connection that they had together. That was something that really helped seal the deal. But there was one other thing that really, really helped seal the deal for Ottis. And you can read this.
They made one brief stop at Ottis's car before they headed out for the night so that he could change. It was almost like a test to see how far Henry could be pushed. A test that he passed with flying colors, both by openly admiring the other man's bare body as he stripped out of his dirty clothes, and by voicing no objection when Ottis pulled on a sequin dress.
So, Ottis, a cross-dresser, well, he likes to wear his mother's dresses. He's 6'8", big guy.
That'd be a tall lady.
Wearing a nice, what's a sequin dress, like a sundress?
Like a ball gown?
No, like a sequin dress is like the iridescent little, like, beads on it. Sequin. Like a disco ball.
Yeah, or like a regular ball gown or like...
So not only did he put on a dress, and he did it as a test, like, okay, if this guy's legit, he'll be cool with this. Because now they about to go out to the bar and drink and have fun. This is our first date.
So just because Henry doesn't say anything when Ottis puts on a sequin dress, Ottis considers Henry to be interested in him?
I mean, think about it. If you, all right, let's say...
I'm sorry, and what's the timeline again? Is this 40s or 50s?
No, this is 78.
Yeah, you're right, Jen. This is 78. Yeah,
okay,
Jen
so
was
things
listening.
are more accepting, because I'm
Aren't you-
thinking like...
Things were
proud of me?
accepting in 78?
Well, no, but
No.
compared to in the 50s. Like,
And in the
things were getting
South?
Aggressively.
And in the South?
True.
I'm a northern girl.
Yeah, you
so-
don't...
Yankee.
Yeah.
Down here in the 70s, you ain't putting on that sequin dress. Down from... That's what the wifey wears. That's what Sugar wears, not...
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, even I would know. Like, if I were to go out and put on a tie and a suit and was with another woman, that doesn't mean that, like, you want to be with me just because I am wearing an outfit.
It's not if you want to be with them. This is South. It's an abomination. Okay.
So you're saying because he was willing to be seen with him, because
He
it was
was
the South,
accepting of it.
he was accepting of it. But that doesn't mean that, like, he was into him. I'm just trying to read between the lines here for poor Ottis.
Otis is
It's unrequited love. Let's
very
not
much
forget.
in love with Henry, very much. But Henry is not completely a homosexual. Otis is.
But Henry did have sex with males while he was in prison.
But he's not
Yes.
a homosexual. He may be bisexual, but is definitely bicurious. Just to catch
But
it.
all right, so a little bit
Right.
about the MO here. And this is going to get into it. Otis gets sexual gratification from killing.
Okay.
So as far as Adam Walsh, the 6-year-old boy, he didn't do anything to the boy. He gets his gratification from actual doing it, killing. That's what he gets off with, which you're about to
Right.
see.
But Henry gets his gratification after he has sex with the corpse.
Yeah, only dead corpses. So those are part of his MO. So you know, you're not going to fall in love with someone if they're still alive. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no. You don't fall in love with alive people.
That didn't make any fucking sense. Okay. They actually go out to the Florida bars that night. And the first bar was fine. They just got laughter. You know, the night wore on. The second bar, more laughter, but this time more dirty looks. The third bar was different. All the locals are drunk, and they use the word, quote, abomination, end quote, which is like a southern, you doing this against God. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where a man can wear a woman's dress. You gonna get in the kitchen, boy? Is that what you doing? You better get on out of here. I'm about to take care of that. And that's what they did. There was a group of locals. Now, this guy is 6'8".
He's a big boy.
He is freaking huge. So
I wouldn't fuck with
to
that.
have the balls to go up to someone that is that fucking tall, that's like
I think he was like almost touch our ceiling.
what's like that basketball player in
Yao Ming.
no, he's taller than that, isn't he?
He is. Rob Gronkowski is 6'8", I believe.
That's a fucking monster, man.
Big dude.
Jason Tatum, I think, is 6'8" too, as well. He plays for the Celtics.
I thought he's Jason Statham.
No, Tatum.
I think Jason Statham is a little dude.
Is he
Or like, you know,
average?
not tall.
So here's how it goes down. These men rush in and they just start beating these two men. And then Otis looks over and he's glad to see that Henry's actually putting up a fight. So he's fighting for him. So all this is going into Otis's head is like, man, this guy is out for me, you know? You know, he's going to fight for
It's
me.
romantic.
It is. You know what I'm saying? Henry pulls him away as more people come because all the locals are getting in on it now. They're going to kill this guy. Henry pulls him away, says, it ain't worth dying for. Let's go. Then Otis leans over and gives Henry a kiss on the cheek. And then they run back to Otis's car. That's how much he loves him, right? They go into the car, into the alley. One single man follows them. Because he ain't finished fighting. This man's a fucking idiot. He's dead now. But Otis reaches inside his purse. He's carrying a little purse. Pulls out a revolver and points it right at his head. Shoots him 6 times in the head. This guy. And he turns back to Henry and this is what he says. You all right with that, sugar?
Henry smiled right back at him. Most definitely.
So that was their first fucking date. Now that's a great first date. I mean, if they don't stay together forever, I don't know.
It tops ours, that's for sure.
Otis is actually 11 years younger than Henry. He was born on March 5th, 1947 in Jacksonville, Florida. He was born in an uncivilized area. That's basically the country. He's born out in the boons.
In the farm.
Not in the farm.
More feral people.
Yeah.
He suffered epilepsy as a child, and he also had grand mal seizures. An IQ test administered to him when he was a child suggested he had, quote, mild mental disability resulting of the brain damage from the seizures. The mother wanted a daughter. And another daughter. She didn't want she didn't want Otis at all. No boy. And she let him know pretty quick. She started calling him Susan. Otis is now Susan. That's what he's known as. His father was an alcoholic, just like Henry's father was. He would constantly have his drinking buddies over, and the mom had her daughters, which they were her pride and joy. The drinking buddies would come over, and these daughters are 8, 10, maybe 12, and these alcoholic men, slobs, working at the freaking lumberyard or whatever, would get drunk and try to get all handsy with these little 12-year-old, the girls. The mom put a stop to that real quick, said, you ain't touching my babies. And then she's like, get up in there, Susan, and let them touch you. And he's 5 years old at the time. The mother puts a dress on Otis, starts calling her Susan, and then now he is waiting on the drunk men that were always over at the house. 5 years old, wearing a dress, getting their beers, getting felled up by these men.
Otis's father rented him out to his friends for a few cents a turn. It didn't matter how Otis screamed or slapped at them. They were deep in their drink, and their screams just added to their excitement.
So Otis loses his virginity to his father's friends when he's 5 years old.
Oh, no.
Not only that, he is a 5-year-old prostitute because they're paying the father to have sex with the 5-year-old dressing up as a girl. It's fucking crazy.
That is awful.
I think that's one of the worst things I've
child
ever
abuse.
heard. You
And
think?
Yeah.
What made you say that?
the mother didn't care at all, but she did care about one thing. She was a devout Christian. And
Oh, yeah.
I would
Totally.
have completely guessed that. From
Jesus.
and
looking at her son.
well, Jesus, like you said, looks down on prostitution. Okay, so her son's a prostitute.
He's the one that's in the wrong, right?
Jesus?
No, her son.
Well,
Oh.
it wasn't Mary Magdalene a prostitute?
Yeah, I
Correct.
was going to say, he befriended Mary Magdalene.
I
Befriended.
don't think there's any proof that she's a prostitute.
Was there no?
I slept with her, so what's up with that? Well, I didn't pay her, so yeah, you're right. Is that like bad to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
probably wouldn't
kind of
say it.
blasphemous.
Shit.
Probably not something I would say, but
Yeah.
it's you, so.
She looked down on Otis, and not only that, his sisters started calling him a quote, a whore, end quote, and actually putting their hands up his skirt and being like, you whore, kind of thing, you know? I mean, he's 5 years old. The father leaves at 10, which is fine. I mean, no more getting fucked by his friends, right? And this is 1957. The mother was really religious, and when Otis, after that nail stuck in his brain 2 inches, he started having seizures. So also seizures. His mother thought they were demonic possessions. Of course, right?
Strong religious beliefs.
And it just so happens that his grandmother was a Satan worshiper, a Satanist, which is kind of going to come into play because,
Interesting.
Wait, his mother's mother or
yeah,
father's?
his mother's mother was a
So
Satanist.
she was a Satanist and raised a devout Christian.
She
The grandmother was a Satanist and his mother was a Christian.
Right.
devout
yeah,
Christian.
Okay.
devout Christian.
Interesting.
The grandma, and the reason this is important, which we're not really going to get too far into it, but the confessions and the reason the police just went with everything is because this was in the 80s. And what was big in the 80s?
Satanic panic.
The Satanic Panic. They claimed that there was a secret organization. Now, both of these guys together are doing this. They're interviewed separately. Both of them are claiming this. There was a satanic organization called the Hands of Death. And this is very interesting because we did the 44 caliber killer. And he also was in a satanic organization.
Yep.
But they claimed that a satanic organization that was underground and full of politicians and bigwigs were actually using them to destabilize America by killing all these people. That's why they were on this killing road trip. Now, the police and the public bought this because at the time you had the Satanic Panic and friggin' everyone was a Satanist if you weren't, not a Satanist. So they actually believed that this was a real thing. In fact, they spent about 5 years solely searching for a cult that probably doesn't even exist called the Hands of Death. It's a satanic cult. So there's all your tax money going to this freaking thing.
Wasn't there a cult called the Hands of God?
There's a church
think
called
so.
that.
Is that where they were like stealing people in parking lots or something?
I don't know. I just heard the name.
Could be. There's a lot of cults out there. Even today.
I'm still thinking of a good name for mine. The fact that the grandma was a Satanist probably, helped develop that story between the two guys. Or maybe that was the fucking truth. No, like I said, no one knows. Because no one knows how many people these guys fucking killed because they said they killed thousands and then they recanted it. Every one of them. But then they were like, no, we have your evidence on this one. Oh, well, yeah, maybe that one. But no one knows, even to this day, how many people they killed. When Otis was 12 years old, he started having a relationship with a boy in his neighborhood. This is when he first became a homosexual, and he was very outgoing about it. His mother disowned him after that and would banish him from the house. After this, he started sleeping in these empty barns, and once sleeping in this empty barn, this rundown shack, he built a fire to keep himself warm because it was cold during the winter. The barn burned down. And he realized, hey, I like watching this fire type of shit. He's a fire starter. So a lot of his murders will be arson related. At 14, he drops out of school and he finds a job, and it's a very lucrative job for him. It's working at the truck stops as a prostitute. He lives like a vagrant. In fact, when he is first arrested for prostitution, the one thing, it was a prostitution sting. The one thing that they need from when they arrest a potential prostitute is a proof of a contraception. So most of the prostitutes will have condoms with them. Otis has never seen a condom in his life, yet he was a prostitute. He didn't know what a condom was. They couldn't actually hold him for prostitution, only solicitation, because he didn't have a condom. He didn't know what they were. That's kind of fucked up. Anyway, the first murder was a traveling salesman who picked him up and just paid him for sex, but then took him to this abandoned wooded area and started beating him and violently raping him. He pushed him on the ground, all fours, Otis, all fours on the ground, stripped him naked, and started like crushing his head into the ground and just raping him violently.
Another man might have spat on his rapist, but a darker passion than vengeance had enveloped Otis. He reached down and masturbated over the corpse of his first victim until he had what he would later describe as the best orgasm of his life.
Ew.
Otis runs for his life. He gets in the traveling salesman's car and locks the door. He goes out in front of the car. Otis puts it in drive and runs over him, backs up, runs over it, crushes his skull completely.
Ooh.
In 1964, in August, he's 17-year-old when he gets his first prostitution arrest sting, and he finds out he loves prison.
Oh, something they have
Very
in common.
similar.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're wrapping this up. I just want to talk about the chemistry. When the men finally meet at that soup kitchen, they start on this worldwide tour, especially the southern states. The one thing that they find they have in common is when they rob a store, they'll usually kill whoever's behind the counter. And they killed a lot of people. And if you want to read this was a robbery done in Alabama as they were traveling around. Otis is usually the one who pulls the trigger. So they're in this little Alabama country store, this little gas station. This guy, just random sales clerk, Otis walks up to immediately and pulls out a revolver and aims it at him. The guy starts to run and he gets shot in the back 3 times. If you want to read this is from the Ryan Green book.
After the gunfire and yelling, the store was almost deafeningly quiet. Henry could hear panting breath coming out of Otis. He moved over to the counter silently to collect the cash, but his eyes never left the scene by the back wall. Otis let out a little moan, then glanced back, suddenly aware of the eyes on him. You can go wait in the car if you like, or you can watch, if that's what takes your fancy. Henry leaned back against the counter and stared at Otis almost defiantly. Oh, so you're the watching kind, sugar?
So he was, sexually getting aroused by the murder. And that is the fucked up brutality of these two guys. So they were almost like a Bonnie and Clyde. They would roam the southern states. Henry preferred women to Otis. In fact, Becky, the girl that he dismembered that we talked about earlier, one of the breaking points between their relationship is when she was sleeping in the car and woke up and saw Henry and Otis pounding it out outside of the car. So her own uncle was, doing her husband or whatever. Otis taught Henry how to be really depraved. Otis was a really screwed up one, if you will. Henry loves having sex with dead corpses, but Otis tells him, okay, I know that's your passion and, that's fine. And you got a great hobby and that's awesome. But why don't you step it up a little bit? Why don't you wait several days to let the decomposition set in so they're more softer when you have sex with them? Stuff like that. So he actually brought him up to a new level. Otis also taught Henry, and this is from his own words, how to, quote, eat the flesh of the dead, end quote.
Oh, no.
Otis would take a stolen barbecue, it was kind of like Trailer Park Boys, and they would stop on the side of the interstate, and cut up some of the skin or whatever and bake it as like bacon pieces and eat it right there. That's how they lived for sustenance. It's crazy, isn't it? Otis fell in love with Henry, but Henry never loved him back. Otis wanted to move back to Florida, but Henry did not. Okay, stuff like that. Kind of ending the story. Otis dies on September 15th, 1996. He was 49 years old. That's when he has a deathbed confession of Adam Walsh, as we talked about earlier, the 6-year-old. There were likely of thousands of criminals who were free, probably still free at this time because of all the lies. They're called, or Henry Lucas especially is called the confession killer. Now, they were in cahoots, even though they were in different prisons. They were treated like celebrities. I mean, they had private jets. Like, all right, let's say Texas,
Kind of living the good life there.
and you're like, why are you taking private jets? Let's say Texas has 20 unsolved murders. They fly Henry Lucas in a private jet, and he just says, yep, did them all. Now you got all of them off the books. You know what I'm saying? All of them off the books. You ain't got to worry about it. That's exactly what was going on. And then the whole satanic thing really played into it as well. They were getting ordered by whoever higher up to go kill so-and-so. That's why they're called the confession killers. A Dallas detective is actually the sole person who called bullshit. And it was a woman who was the detective. She started completely fabricating cases using old police photos of random murders and she would make these cases up and get Henry to come in. There were a lot of them, like 10 or so. He said yes to every one of them. I killed all these people. And then they were like, we just made all this up. You're obviously lying. After that, the media gets a hold of it, and now it's all bullshit. But you can't even hold him in prison for it, because if he says 300 lies, how can you believe he killed anyone type of shit? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's the confession killers.
So how did Lucas round out his life? You said it was officially, like, the case was officially closed in 2008.
Oh, shit. Ugh.
With Walsh. But what happened to Lucas again?
Yeah, because you said that Otis died in 97.
Yeah. So on March 12th, 2001, at 11 p.m., Henry Lee Lucas was found dead of congestive heart failure at 64 years old. There's a Netflix documentary, like I said in the first episode. I haven't watched it yet, but there's like 5 episodes, and I guess it goes on some of the murders. But I told you about the ones that we know for sure. We know he killed Becky, and we know that he killed the Kate Rich. That's what we talked about as far as Henry Lee Lucas. As far as any of the other ones, we honestly, no one knows if he did or not. Probably he's confessed to killing Jimmy Hoffa, for crying out loud, and the freaking Jonestown murders with the poison. I mean, you just can't trust that shit. Anyway, that is the confession killers. I hope you guys like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry it's so long, but
No, it was good.
Interesting.
but that's all I got.
Horrifying, but interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, those are some of the worst childhood stories we've heard.
Yeah, that's
for
what
sure.
I wanted to focus on, especially. I know it's different because a lot of the murders you can't even prove, really. I went to the Adam Walsh case because even the father says that he did it, so we did that one. But as far as the background, we could prove that shit.
Right.
I mean, they all had like 50 brothers and cousins running around.
I mean,
Yeah.
is there anything that made the father like a 100% certain, like that this was the guy?
Good
That's
question.
a really good question. From a few articles I read on it, they didn't say really. I mean, just that Dahmer didn't do it, and I guess they got his reasons. I really didn't. Doing the Adam Walsh case would be a case in of itself because it's so extensive, and there is a ton of books on that case. Yep. It's very popular, so I didn't get into that. I just wanted to focus on this. That's a really good question, though.
It sounds like the MO is similar with his head being decapitated and
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah, totally.
He was in the area, and and the deathbed confession. Why would you
Right, I forgot
confess?
about that.
Why would you have a deathbed confession if you? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know, but they confess to so many others, so it's hard to.
But
would have been so high profile.
And I think that the father and they're getting older too. I mean, honestly, it's probably in the back of their mind that it may not
It
be.
may not have been.
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
I think and they just want closure
Because
at that point. It's been
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
long.
The
Like,
blue van, that has nothing to do with Otis, you know?
yeah.
But then Dahmer, like, he would have said he did it. And that's not his MO. That's not Dahmer is more of a kind of keep you under the crawl space
Yeah.
type of guy, you know, not a killing a random kid and beheading him. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But that is the on the Confession Killers. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We do episodes every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if you want to support us, you can see the full length videos that we're recording on Patreon, talkmurder.com/join, and look at the tiers there, and you can see the videos. We'll also be doing live videos starting August 1st, so I hope you guys can make those. And we're doing those at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's right.
So
Be there, be square.
Sundays, we do our episodes. We do them at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to just put those on live, and you guys can talk to us. So look forward to that. And if that's all, I don't have anything else. My name is John. Until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.